You are standing in the grocery store aisle right now, or maybe you were recently, staring at the back of a package, and something about it just did not feel right. Maybe you picked up something that looked healthy. Maybe it said natural on the front, or high protein, or low fat, or made with real ingredients. And something in your gut said, wait, is this actually good for me? But the label was confusing. There were numbers you did not understand, ingredients you could not pronounce, and percentages that made no sense, so you just put it in the cart anyway because you did not know what else to do. That feeling, that quiet uncertainty you carry into every grocery run, that is what I want to talk about today. Because here is what nobody tells you. The exhaustion you are feeling right now, the afternoon crashes, the brain fog that hits you like a wall around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, the way you wake up already tired even after 8 hours of sleep, the way your mood swings without warning, the way you reach for coffee or sugar just to function, that is not a willpower problem. That is not a laziness problem. That is an information problem. And it starts at the grocery store. I spent so long thinking I was eating healthy. I was buying things that said organic on the front. I was avoiding fast food. I was meal prepping. And I still felt awful every single day. I could not figure out why. My energy was inconsistent, my focus was scattered, and I felt like my body was working against me no matter what I did. And then one small shift in how I read grocery labels changed everything. Before I go deeper into that, I want to mention something quickly. We have a program linked in the video description below. This is not for everyone. If you are someone who is perfectly happy with your energy levels, and you feel great every single day, honestly, you do not need it. But if something about what I just said hit a little too close to home, you might want to scroll down and take a look before you continue watching. Because what I am about to share only gets more relevant from here. Now, let me take you into the real moment this clicked for me. I was standing in the cereal aisle. I had a box in my hand that I had been buying for years. It had a green label, it said fiber-rich and heart-healthy and made with whole grains on the front. I thought I was making a smart choice. But something made me flip it over that day and actually read the nutrition label. Not the marketing on the front, the actual label on the back. And that is when I saw it. The second ingredient was sugar, not the fifth, not the seventh. The second, right after whole grain oats, was sugar. And then a few ingredients later there was another form of sugar listed under a different name. And then another one listed under yet another name. 3 different forms of sugar in something I had been calling a healthy breakfast. Here is what the food industry does not want you to realize. Sugar can hide under over 60 different names on an ingredient list. Maltose, dextrose, sucrose, high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup, cane juice, barley malt, fruit juice concentrate. These are all sugar. They just do not look like it. And because each one appears separately on the label, none of them has to show up as the first or second ingredient even if sugar is technically dominating the product. This is not an accident, this is a strategy. And the reason your energy crashes at 2 in the afternoon, the reason you feel wired and then absolutely depleted within a couple of hours of eating, the reason your mood dips and your focus disappears, is that your blood sugar is doing exactly what those labels are designed to make it do. Spike fast and crash hard. Studies have consistently shown that repeated blood sugar spikes throughout the day lead to chronic fatigue, increased inflammation, hormonal disruption, and cognitive decline over time. The researchers who study this are not talking about people eating junk food all day. They are talking about people eating things marketed as healthy. Granola bars, low-fat yogurt, flavored oatmeal, protein shakes from the grocery store, even fruit juice that says no added sugar on the label. No added sugar means nothing was added to it. It does not mean the sugar content is low. Orange juice, for example, can have nearly as much sugar per serving as a can of soda, and because it comes without the fiber of an actual orange, your body processes that sugar just as fast. Let me give you another pattern interrupt here because this one surprised me the most. The order in which ingredients are listed on a label matters enormously. Ingredients are listed by weight, from most to least. So whatever is listed first is what the product contains the most of. This seems simple, but here is where it gets tricky. Some companies use a technique called ingredient splitting. They take one ingredient, like sugar, break it into multiple forms, list each one separately, and suddenly none of them individually seems like the dominant ingredient. But if you combined all those forms, sugar would be sitting at the very top of that list. Once I understood this one trick, I started reading labels completely differently. I stopped looking at the front of the package. I stopped caring about the marketing words. I went straight to the ingredient list, and I started asking 2 questions. How many different forms of sweetener are hidden in here, and what are the first 3 ingredients? Those 2 questions alone shifted everything. Within 3 weeks of applying this, my afternoon energy crashes were almost entirely gone. I was waking up feeling genuinely rested for the first time in years. My focus during work was sharper, my mood was more stable. My cravings for sugar started to naturally decrease because I was no longer accidentally fueling them with products I thought were healthy. I did not change how much I ate. I did not start an extreme diet. I did not cut out entire food groups. I just started reading the back of the label instead of the front. That is it. That is the whole shift. But I want to go deeper, because there is one more thing on these labels that almost nobody talks about, and it is the thing that I believe had the single biggest impact on my energy. It is the serving size. This sounds too simple to matter, but stay with me here. Most people look at the calorie count on a label and they think, okay, that is reasonable. But they do not notice that the serving size listed is often shockingly small. You might be looking at a bag of crackers and the label says 120 calories per serving, but the serving size is 5 crackers. 5. And most people eat 20 crackers in one sitting without thinking twice. That means they just consumed nearly 500 calories from what they thought was a light snack. More than that, they consumed nearly 5 times the sodium, 5 times the refined carbohydrates, and 5 times whatever hidden sweeteners were in there. So when someone tells me they cannot figure out why they feel bloated, inflamed, or tired, despite eating what they think are small portions, the first place I take them is the serving size line on their labels. Because that one line is quietly distorting their entire perception of what they are actually consuming. I worked with someone who had been eating a granola that they loved for months. They felt like it was a good, clean option. When we actually did the math on their typical bowl, they were eating 3.5 servings per sitting, 3.5 times the sugar, 3.5 times the calories, and their energy was crashing every single morning by 10 a.m., 2 days after adjusting the portion and pairing it with a protein source to slow the sugar absorption. Their morning energy completely transformed. That is not magic. That is science. That is knowing what you are actually putting into your body. Here is something I want you to sit with for a second. Every single symptom that people spend years blaming on stress, or bad genetics, or getting older, or not sleeping enough, often has a nutritional component that is being completely overlooked. And that component is almost always hiding in plain sight on the back of the packages sitting in your kitchen right now. Think about the money you have spent trying to fix your energy. Supplements, vitamins, those expensive coffees, the energy drinks, the afternoon naps you can never fully afford to take, the productivity you lose when you cannot focus, the mood you carry into your relationships when you're running on empty. These are real costs, real daily costs that compound over weeks and months and years. And the frustrating part is that none of those things fix the root issue if the root issue is what you are eating. And more specifically, what you cannot see in what you are eating because the label is designed to obscure it. The label trick is not complicated once you know it. It just requires someone to show you what to actually look for and then to help you build a simple, sustainable system around it. Which is exactly what the program in the description is designed to do. If you have been watching this and nodding along at every single point, if you recognize your own experience in what I have described, if you are tired of feeling tired and you are ready to actually do something about it that is not another fad or another supplement or another thing you tried that did not work, then that program was built for you. The link is right below this video. The people who act on it today are the ones who stop waiting for a version of themselves that just magically has more energy and start building it deliberately. That version of you is not far away. It is a few label reads away. Go check it out.